Hello and welcome to another Be a Game Changer Talks. I have with me my colleague from the foundation, Liam Atkin. He's our primary education manager. And I've also got Dan Nelson, who is a great partner of the foundation, worked with Dan for many years. I've worked in schools with Dan throughout the years, but is now the head of Choppington Primary. And it looks like you're currently sat there, Dan. So you look nice and comfortable.
Yes, in the computer room.
Your
Yes.
computer room, and we've established that you're not on the tiny chairs. You're on the desk chair, which is good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for joining me, gents. I think the reason why I thought it was important to get both of you on and to get your opinions around sort of schooling and around kids is because I know that at the moment there are probably quite a lot of parents who are possibly struggling with some anxieties, maybe because they are homeschooling the kids, maybe because they're a little bit uncertain as to what's going to happen when they go back to work or when the kids go back to school, what school might look like. So I suppose this is just kind of picking your brains around kind of what you think life might be like, or give a little bit of support and a little bit of advice. So I suppose just to get started, Dan, I don't know if you've kind of got any good nuggets of advice for parents out there who might be really quite struggling at the moment with homeschooling some of their kids.
It is tough. I mean, I struggle at home myself with my own children. One of the things that we've tried to do in our house it's just to try and put a little bit of structure in. So I'm not saying a timetable where from 9 till 9:30 you're doing whatever, but just a little bit of structure. I've got a couple of things I want to get done in the morning and a couple of things I might want to get done in the afternoon, which just kind of helps one, you understand where you're trying to go to, but also telling the children that that's what we're looking to do, so they've got an idea of what your expectations of them are for the day. One of the other things that we found really important is to be consistent with your expectations.
Yeah.
We're in week 8 currently of lockdown. Now that's longer than the summer holidays, and we all know what it's like. By week 6 of the summer holidays, you're dying to get the kids back to school. This is obviously a little bit tougher than that. So those sorts of things of structure, particularly, has definitely helped us as a family, and I would expect that would help some families. But trying to put too unrealistic an expectation of we're going to have a full day of schooling, I don't think that's good for you as an adult, but also for the children, because they are aware that this is not normal times. So I think you need to be a little bit mindful of that, but also to lessen your expectation on yourself. You're not taking the role of a teacher. Yeah. In the way that we're not expecting you to teach extra and new things. What it's more about is keeping the children ticking over. And schools I know will be sharing things. I mean, we share once a week, but some schools are doing it more than that. All I would do is I would pick and choose some of the things that you're doing, but ultimately it's about the well-being of the children, which ultimately will then have a knock-on effect to your well-being. If you can put a little bit of structure and take some of that pressure off you to think that you have to do a 9 till 3:30 job.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think it definitely resonates with some of the previous conversations we've had through these Be a Game Changer talks, which for me, I kind of picked two key themes there, which is this routine. I know that we've got a 12-week-old in the house, and we put him to bed at the same time every day. We wake him up at the same time. We try and have his naps at the same time because we want to try and get that routine. But us as adults need the same thing as well. And I know that throughout lockdown, we've said, wake up at the same time every day. If you used to walk to work, go for a walk before you sit at your desk. If you, I don't know, if you have your lunch at 12, have your lunch at 12, and turn your laptop off at 5. And it's the same thing. But I think the second theme for me was give yourselves a break. We're all human, and unfortunately we're not superhuman like teachers, so we're not able to sit kids at a desk between 9 and 3 and able to do as good a job as what you guys do. So I think
the other thing to think about is also to don't focus on day by day. Look at it over a week. So when you get to say Friday, because I would definitely be giving the children a weekend off. But when you get to Friday, have a look back and look about what you've achieved in terms of the amount of work that you've got through. Because you may have had a bad day one day, but you may have had a fantastic day 2 days later. Yeah. And then it's kind of, you've got to look at things over time, not over short periods of time, but over a longer period. And working sort of Monday to Friday, look about the amount of work that you may have got the children to complete, or the success that you've had. Then that's a better way of looking at it, rather than getting hit up on a day by day basis.
Yeah. And I'm gonna try and translate what you just said there into some of my everyday normal work, where I deal with people who are wanting to lose weight, for example, and they fixate upon having 2,000 or 2,500 calories every single day. And you say, well, balance it out throughout the week. If you have 3,000 one day, but then 1,500 the next day, then that's sort of a bit of a balance. And I suppose that's kind of what you're saying there too. I don't know if there's any kind of ideal ways in which you think parents should try and educate their kids now, because obviously, I suppose the traditional ways of which we teach kids are in classrooms, and we try and get 30 kids in a classroom with one teacher, because really that's the most efficient way of teaching that large group of people. Have you got any other alternative ways of which you might be able to teach kids as a parent on a one-to-one basis with a child?
I think you're getting a lot. Most people will be getting guidance from their school, so I've got to be careful about not trying to go against what different schools, because every single school is doing it in a slightly different way. So some people will be doing online learning. So there may be apps and going onto YouTube to see different bits and bobs, or even Zoom calling, because some schools are doing live lessons, and we're not, but some schools are. And I think you've got to follow a little bit of what your school's telling you. But for me, what I would try and do is, particularly now, we've got to look at the children's well-being. If you can do some of that learning outside, then try and get the children outside. We've been blessed with the weather, haven't we? Yeah. In these 8 weeks of lockdown. We've probably you're lucky if we've had 3 or 4 days of rain. I know it's gone a bit cooler this last week, but it's been glorious. Take advantage of that time to be outside. The children, actually, we find, even in school, the vulnerable children and the key worker children we've got in school, we're finding getting them outside is having a much more positive impact on, one, their well-being, and also their levels of engagement, because it's a bit freer, and because they're getting that 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 sort of input from you or your partner or whatever, it's easier to sort of manage. And also it does make it seem a little bit different than trying to sit them at a desk with a timetable in front of them or whatever. But trying to get them outside and trying to make it a little bit more fun, probably a little bit more active, would definitely be a bit of a bonus if you could do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Dan. I think if I know the government had stipulated at the beginning to get one form of exercise a day for, I believe there was half an hour or an hour. And I know they've changed that recently, but to try to get them outside and be active for at least half an hour a day would help with their concentration, help with their mental well-being, and also helps with yours as well, I suppose, actually getting out of the house and getting some fresh air. So trying to keep them active would have been, at least once a day would have been my thing.
Yeah, and I think from my point of view, I live down near the coast, and I've started to see a lot more people in families out on bikes, and with the mum, the dad, the child who's just come off the stabilizers, and the child that's still on the stabilizers, and it's lovely seeing, because there's less cars on the roads, and you're starting to see this kind of family cohesion in our groups and in our communities, which is lovely. I don't know. You've kind of touched on them a few.
I think that's one of the best things that's happened so far. Sorry, Ollie. I think that's one of the best things that you've seen so far, is that opportunity for families to be families. Yeah. If all the parents are at home because they're either being furloughed or they're working from home, you've also got to be mindful of that. You can't do your normal job at home if you've got the children there. I found that. I've had to change my work habits around this, because I normally would work, 9 till 5 o'clock and then go home and do a little bit later on. What we've had to do now is shelve a lot of our work during the day and put that a little bit later, but while making sure that we invest in the children now, because we're not going to get this opportunity again to spend some real quality time with your children, with that sort of, particularly instead of it being at a weekend. So I think a lot of families are starting to really take advantage of that. And like you were saying, it's great to see them out and about, either walking or on their bikes. I was up on the wagon ways, and it felt like the A1 of cycling on the wagon ways. We had to go off a beaten track just to make sure we didn't get, one, that the dog didn't get under the bikes, to be fair. Just to make sure that you get outside is really important. And seeing these families doing that, it's really, really good to see.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's heartwarming. It's lovely to see. I suppose a little bit of British spirit in there, isn't there? In that we've finally rediscovered our family connections, which is lovely. You've already kind of touched upon some of the resources which might be available for parents and kids. Those being obviously the ones that are sent from school. potentially YouTube, potentially Zoom. I don't know if there are any more that either of you have kind of come across.
I mean, well, from the foundation's point of view, we've got the Premier League Primary Stars website, which anybody can access, and it's free of charge, and anyone can sign up to. Along with that, there's the Super Movers, which is in conjunction with the BBC. I think you just Google Super Movers, and there's lots of, I suppose, fun ideas on numeracy and literacy on there. Commando Joes, who we work very closely as well, have got some home learning tools which are pretty fun and outdoor activities, and are really engaging for the kids and pretty simple to follow. They're the ones that spring to my mind. Also, if you look at the foundation website, we've actually got a place where we've put some of them links on or downloadable resources which anybody can access at any time, and they are really fun and engaging, and using activity and being active is the forefront of that.
Yeah.
I mean, the DFE have obviously printed a list of ideas, websites, whatever, that are out there to be used. You can, again, Google that quite easily, and I'm sure lots of schools, like we've said, we've got our apps, certain apps that we use within school that we have obviously signposted our children to. I mean, don't forget, you've got things like, everyone's heard of Joe Wicks at the moment. He's doing a good job first thing on the morning. That's one thing. There's lots of people like him out there doing stuff. I know Kelly Holmes is doing stuff. And there's dance things out there. There's BBC Bite Size, that's been massively updated during this lockdown. There's actually a timetable also to sort of help structure, but it goes all the way from year 1 in this country all the way up to year 6. I'm only thinking of primary school, obviously, and there's all sorts of lessons in there which some schools will have signposted people to, but if not, you can always go and have a look if you're struggling for things to do. Then there's there. Another great website that we use is something called Oxford Owl, which is by Oxford University Press. They've released a lot of their school e-books that you can use for phonics and things like that. They're all free. All you've got to do is log in, sign up, and you can go and get a lot of books that are for free. And for me, reading's another thing that we need to keep at the forefront. It's got, there's a lot of research that's shown if you're a good reader, it has really good benefits to your future opportunities. So you need to keep reading and things like that on the side. But, I could go on and on with the number of different resources out there. I think the DFE list is a good one. Like Northumberland County Council have created a Padlet of activities that you can do, and another bit of signposting. I'm happy to share that link with you, Ollie, if you want to kick it into the bottom of this, because that's a free thing that anyone can go on to, and there's loads of opportunities and activities for people to do there as well.
Awesome. I think you've both touched on loads there, which is really, really useful. So I'm going to wrap up with one more question, because I'm conscious of both of your time. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I suppose we always like to finish these on a little bit of a high. So how has lockdown affected both of you, and what have you kind of been doing to make sure that you're boosting your well-being during lockdown?
Do you want to go first, Dan?
I'll go first if you want, yeah. I've probably had it a little bit easier than some people, I think, because I'm in school every week. I'm in every Monday because of things that we're doing for free school meal packages and things like that. So I've had some normality, which has been quite nice for me. And that, I found it more difficult when I've been at home because we've been on a rota system, when I've been at home with the children for like a full week, because I suppose I need that routine like everyone else does. So what I've tried to do is I've definitely started exercising more. So, doing even little HIIT sessions in school, like little circuits, as well as going for runs. I've also been obviously walking the dog quite a lot with the children, with the family, with the wife on our own. Sometimes when I leave my eldest daughter in charge, and we'll go for a walk and kind of debrief what's been going on, which has been really helpful, because we haven't had a chance to do that for ages. The weather's definitely helped with all of that. And then I suppose the other thing is just being in contact with friends and family, phone calls, keeping in touch, checking in on people, Zoom calls, how many people have had a Zoom quiz in the last week? There's been quite a few of those. So that's been really, really good. Try not to do too much of that, because there was a time when we were having, every night we'd have something on, you felt that pressure. We started to release a little bit of that pressure, so we'll try and do 1 or 2 a week maximum, just because then you get the extra pressure of having to Zoom people. But that's mainly what we've done, is just trying to be outside a lot more and spending time with the kids has been absolutely fabulous. It's amazing how they lighten your mood and things just based on what they are interested in and the things that they do. Like, I've done quite a lot of potion making. I'm quite good at potions at the moment. My son's massively into potions. So that's been something. Didn't think I was going to own up to that here, but I have.
Lovely, thank you. Go on, Liam, quickly. What have you done?
What have I done? I suppose I've started running, yeah, which is bizarre for me. I've never ran a lot. I play football, but I don't enjoy running.
It's bizarre for an ex-footballer, isn't it, to go for a run?
Yeah, but I started doing. I did one this morning. I got up early this morning and went for a 5K. I try to do 2 or 3 a week. I suppose the reason I started was because I can't sleep. I literally can't sleep at night time. I mean, my wife is due to give birth in 8 weeks, and she's not sleeping either, which obviously doesn't help as well. But I suppose I just haven't been able to sleep. I'm not falling asleep at 3 o'clock in the morning and having a really disturbed night. So I thought running would help that, and it has in ways. But I am also still working, which helps. And some routine I do miss, I suppose, the drive to work. Actually going to the office and seeing people and having conversations in that social aspect of stuff. But like Dan said, having Zoom calls, speaking to people, it's helped loads. I've decorated the baby's room, which has been fun. Painted parts of the house which needed painted, and I suppose that's helped me loads in terms of my mental well-being and me physically. But that's what kind of I've done. I've had some struggles in terms, like I said, of sleeping, but try to get around that by doing some form of exercise or keeping into a routine if possible.
Lovely. Well, thank you both for being very honest and extremely useful during that chat. I'm sure there'll be people who watch this who will find it really, really beneficial. So I'm going to leave it there, but thank you very much for joining me. Stay safe, look after yourselves, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, all.
Thanks.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you, Dan.